Good afternoon. We'll call to order the City of Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals, a regular meeting for June 23rd, 2021. First item on our agenda is determination of a quorum with 4 members present of the 5-member board. We do have a quorum today. Nice to be back in person for the first time in a good while. Next, we go to new business, and we have one variance application. It's application Z21018 by Beatty Properties, represented by SEC Inc. They are requesting a variance of the required 8-foot side planting yard and a variance of the 15-foot separation required between parking and/or access drives and adjacent properties. This is for a property located in the CH District, Highway Commercial, and part of the Gateway Design Overlay District, GDO 1. This property is located at 1144 Fortress Boulevard, and I believe Mr. Barbie will give us the information on this.
Good afternoon, Chairman Young and members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Today I'm bringing to you application Z21018, and it's a request for 2 variances from SEC Incorporated on behalf of Beatty Properties, LLC. The property is located at 1144 Fortress Boulevard. That's directly across from the Walmart Center to the west and to Nelson Mazda to the north. The subject property and all surrounding adjacent properties are zoned Commercial Highway and Gateway Design Overlay 1. The applicants wish to subdivide the property and have submitted a preliminary plat to the Planning Commission last month. The preliminary plat was approved by the Planning Commission, subject to obtaining the necessary variances from the Board of Zoning Appeals. The first variance request is for a 15-foot variance from the required 15-foot separation between parking, drive aisles, and adjacent properties. The second variance request is from the 8-foot wide side planting yard where a property is more than 2 acres but less than 5. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have, and Mr. Taylor is also in attendance today to help address any questions you might also need.
All right, any questions for staff at this point?
So when I first read this, I was thinking the big green space that's on John Rice Boulevard would be the place where the requests were made, and I was having trouble. And I'm seeing it on a big plat and not on my phone. Thank you.
It's much easier to see on the bigger sheets. That's why I made copies of those today.
I appreciate that. It's here on the Fortress Boulevard green space.
That's correct.
Is that both?
Yes, both variances are located
On
along
that
the same side.
So where the lot would be subdivided is in the middle of that road?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I know those are obvious questions.
Not at the scale it prints out at.
That's very
So,
helpful for me.
I'm sorry, Easter.
I'm done.
That paved strip, is that public right of way, or is that part of the property?
The area where the request is for, that's
Yeah.
private property.
Well, I'm saying the street. It's not a street. It's just access from the highway
access
to
drive,
that.
yeah,
to
that is
that
private
business,
property.
right?
Private property, yes.
Okay. And because of this subdivision, we have variance on lot 2.
The request is for lot 1, which is the corner lot that is developed. You see the kind of L-shaped
Yes.
structure here. The variance would be for the requested subdivision for a property line that would go right down this access aisle, right in this area where I'm somewhat basically trying to sketch it.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's a sketch tool here.
So they're asking for a variance to these spaces that already have existing development.
Yes, they're
To come into compliance, to subdivide and then come into compliance because in order to subdivide, they have to have those requirements, but they can't to subdivide this way because they already have a building there.
the request to place the property lines where they want to. They will have to have the variances that are required by, or that are requested to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Because there's no land where
Right,
that
there's-
property line is.
There is no green space internal in that area.
It's all asphalt.
Yes, appears to be asphalt and concrete. There is I'm guessing from here, about a 5-foot strip between the building and the sidewalk. That'd be our standard base of building planting yard.
The proposed lot 2 is going to be south of that paved area, correct?
Believe,
South and east, maybe?
South and east.
Yes, sir. Matt Taylor from SEC. It'd be south and east. It'd kind of be a L shape right there. So it's all the
L-shaped.
remaining property.
So it's going to come around the back. That as we're looking at the site map or site satellite picture, we're seeing lot 2 being south of that highlighted area, and then running east behind the improved part.
Yes,
Be
sir.
lot-
Kind of like,
That'll be lot 2.
yes, sir.
And so, because of this division and because of the existing improvements, they're requesting this variance.
Yes, sir.
Instead
It would,
of having to break up the road and,
say that again, I'm sorry.
if we didn't have these variances, you'd have to break up the road and put in.
Correct. And so whenever we proposed this site plan, we proposed with the property line down the middle of that drive aisle, very similar to what we do whenever we're sharing access points anywhere around the city. And so whenever we've done that in the past, we have relocated those green spaces elsewhere on site, and that's what we did with this site plans. We've got extra green and extra trees in other places on lot 1. But we did not subdivide at the time because we had one property owner that owned everything, and he's looking to sell lot 2 to a different owner, and so now subdivision is obviously a priority to him.
I guess would it be fair to assume that this drive wouldn't put at the corner of the original lot because the way it lines up with Cedar Glades Drive?
Correct. Cedar Glade Drive drove the exact location that you're seeing here because Cedar Glade pre-existed this site, and so we had to align with that to make sure traffic movements were safe and efficient.
And I suppose that the planning department required that?
Yes, traffic, public works. Matter of fact, this was several years ago, so public works may not even been its own division at that point, but transportation, traffic, planning, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. Anything else you want to add to?
No, happy to answer any questions. I think we went over that very, very well.
Great, thank you. Something else you want to add for the public hearing, or
come back if you had any further questions for me. If not,
any further questions for staff at this point?
Yeah, just for education purposes, what is the setback supposed to be?
okay. On that side, you would normally have a 15-foot wide separation of space between parking and drive aisles and the adjacent property line. Inside of that 15 feet, you would have an 8-foot wide side planting yard as well, with plantings in that area. So their requested variances for both the 15-foot space as well as the 8-foot space.
So for my math, we're going from 15 foot and 8 foot to 0.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
I do have a comment I'd like to share with the board. Per the zoning ordinance, the BZA must make written findings, both either in favor or against the variance. So whatever you are going to proceed with, just know that there have to be findings that are very specific to the standards and reasons why you believe this should be supported or possibly could be denied. And for each of those standards, if you could just state those for the record, Staff will bring back the written version of those findings for signature at a later date for the Chair Young.
Okay. At this time, we'll hold the public hearing. If there's anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward, give us your name and address, and can provide us with any comments you may have.
I'm John Harney, here on behalf of the applicant, Beatty Properties. I helped develop this property in its original form, and at the time that we originally submitted the master site plan, this divided property line was shown to be where the drive aisle, the center of the drive aisle. Like Mr. Taylor's already mentioned, that was driven because of the property across the street that had the exact same situation. Their property line divides there. This is a narrow lot as it is, but if that property line was moved over and we had to create another entrance on Fortress, you'd have a conflict of traffic and virtually make that lot facing Fortress almost unbuildable, because it would, time you put an entrance in and do the normal setbacks, you really couldn't almost put anything in there. But we're not varying from what was the original master plan and showing this dividing line to begin with, which we did, what, Matt, back in 18 probably? 17 or 18? Yeah, yeah. So we developed this with this in mind at some point in the future. Now we're coming back with a subdivision plat to be able to accomplish that.
You foresee there's enough building space facing Fortress that there might be something developed facing that way, or is this basically just using this access to more have frontage?
Using this access, and this will probably be more primary parking in that area with green space up against actually the Seventh-day Adventist Church owns the property to the, I guess would be to the south, but that would mainly be parking area. But if we had to shove all that over, it would just get it to where it was untenable. But again, we're complying with the original master plan that was driven by everybody agreeing this was be the way to handle it when we got ready to develop this piece in the future.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else present wishing to speak for or against this application? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or a motion.
One other question, I'm not sure if this is going to be for Mr. Barbie or Mr. Taylor. Accessed an entrance on John Rice Boulevard, was that contemplated? Was that to that lot too?
Yes, sir. So if you look at this aerial, we actually installed all the access points with this original. So we've got the one on Fortress, which we're talking about here, and then we've got one on a full access on John Rice at that location. And then we've got another one here that's a right in, right out. And so this property would not have any further access points on John Rice or Fortress from what is constructed there today.
And with those, there's no reason for you to have any variances to the planting yards either.
Correct. Those were, because our property line for lot 2.
I couldn't find it because I was like, I don't see any reason why they'd need a variance up there, because that's I just assumed that's where it was.
Yes, ma'am.
But that makes sense on this side.
Yes, ma'am. You're absolutely right. There's no need for a variance up there.
I assume Mr. Tips just wants to make sure y'all aren't coming back later. Take care.
No offense. I don't like coming here any more than I have to.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve as the requested variances are due to the specifically identified characteristics of the land, as well as the land surrounding it. The requested variances are unusual, subject to the land compared to other land in the area, that the hardships were not created by the action or inaction of the owner. That granting the requested variance would not be unduly detrimental to other land in the vicinity, and that granting the request will not impair an adequate supply of light or air to the adjacent properties.
I would second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that application's been approved. Appreciate your time. Next item on our agenda is a special use permit. We got two requests. The first one is application Z21019 by Isaiah Phillips, requesting a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, in this case a seasonal fireworks retailer, in a light industrial zone. This is for property located at 1950 South Church Street. Ms. Rush, I believe this is your
Good
application.
afternoon, Board. Yes, this one I'll present on. The applicant, Mr. Isaiah Phillips, wishes to operate a fireworks stand for the upcoming 4th of July season. This is a new location, and thus it is coming to the Board for a public hearing for full review. The City of Murfreesboro zoning ordinance, Chart 1, does allow fireworks seasonal retailers in the zoning district, subject to a special use permit. The site is shown on your screen if you wanted to go to that. And then I'm going to scroll down to show some photographs of what the storage cart looks like. This is unique because we've always done tents. We haven't done a storage cart before. The fire and rescue department of Murfreesboro has reviewed the proposal and has agreed that the specifications for the structure and what it was painted with is fire retardant, so it does meet that requirement per the ordinance. The stand is 10 feet by 20 feet in length. The customers would not go into the facility or into the structure. It would just be the employees or the staff by the vendor itself. And there's a photograph of the inside. So the material would be stored on those shelves, and then the sales would be conducted through the windows. The fireworks selling season is June 28th through July 5th. They can establish this structure after they get all applicable permits from other departments. It would be subject to a building permit from Building and Codes for electrical, and fire inspections would have to take place as well. They would operate daily from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. And then on July 3rd and 4th, they're able to, if they wish, to operate till midnight on those 2 days. Everything would need to be cleared and removed from the site no later than July 10th, and they indicate that they will be gone from the site on July 5th or 6th, I think, 6th. The applicant is here in the audience. He can give some additional explanation or information if you wish, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Is this the Shoney's property?
Yes.
And what about anchoring that building down? I mean, obviously, hopefully we wouldn't get a tornado that would strike it. And of course, the tents, would be destroyed easily, but not maybe commit, any other damage to other places. Is it going to be anchored down?
Well, they do have to get building permits, so I would defer to the building codes official. As you said, the tents are anchored to help minimize any wind that would cause it to dislodge and create any issues. In this particular case, I believe it's on wheels, is what I understood. It's not on wheels. It'll be dropped off. Okay. So I really don't know the specifics about anchoring, but it would need to have safety issues addressed through that permitting process.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for staff? Mr. Phillips, is there anything you'd like to add to the application?
No, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
I've been doing this for a while.
Can you come to the microphone, please? And state your name and address for the record.
Isaiah Phillips, 436 Nightcap Lane, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This will be my third year working a firework stand. I've done it with TNT for years, and they take all the money. So I thought I would invest in something just to better myself throughout the years to keep me financially stable. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions?
I will ask, are you going to anchor that down, or you just drop it on the site?
As far as I know, to drop it on site, but I will meet any needs necessary through any codes.
Yeah.
Or,
Is this the first time you've done it?
this is the first time that I've done a stand.
Okay.
I've done tents.
Yeah, first time you've done a stand.
Yes, sir.
And when you come, I'm sure you probably consulted with your insurance company, right?
Yes, sir. I have insurance on it. Yes,
And
sir.
did they suggest that you anchor it down or any other precautions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. At this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. If there's anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the application for the special use permit on the basis that doesn't appear to have any substantial adverse effect on the adjacent properties, that the unit will be compatible to the immediate vicinity and not going to interfere with anything there, and that should be served adequately from the public right-of-way and streets, and should not result in any damage or destruction of any scenic or historic importance, and finally that it complies with all the standards and imposed in it with the zoning commission and the zoning ordinances, as well as the building codes department.
So that's along with the staff comments.
Along with staff comments, yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, not to be nitpicky, but just for clarification, the fifth staff comment reads tent, and since
Yep.
it's not a tent,
That is a typo.
I understand we've got the same kind of things for everything, but the sixth one calls it a structure, so if we could just change that.
Well, I will, as the maker of the motion, would like to amend it just to include building and not tent. You accept that?
And I'd second that.
We have a
Thank you.
motion and a second, the amended comments. Any further discussion on those? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That application's been approved. Next, we'll move to application Z21020 by River Oaks Community Church. They are requesting a special use permit for the expansion of an institutional group assembly use by the placement of a portable building in an RS-15 zone, and this is for property located at 210 Rucker Lane. Ms. Kerr, I believe you're up for this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair Young, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. This is a special use permit request by River Oaks Community Church, represented by Mr. Matt Taylor with SEC. And they're requesting a special use permit for the expansion of an existing church through the use of addition of one portable for children's classrooms. And this property directly across the street from Rucker Lane is the market at Victory Village. It is a planned unit development district. To the west is subject property is county property, which is the Green Meadows single-family residential subdivision. And to the south is the Brownview Acres single-family residential subdivision. That also is in the county. This site plan, the board approved the request for a special use permit in order to construct an institutional group assembly use, a church on 10.42 acres in a single-family residential RS-15 zone for property at 151 Rucker Lane on September 25th, 2013, allowing for Phase 1 and Phase 2 and all recreation areas only. This is the subject property looking from Rucker Lane. This is looking towards the west of the property. This is the front of the building, and at the rear of the building is where the portable will be situated. Let's see. This photograph is from the parking lot at the rear of the building. That is in the area where the portable will be situated. And then this is a view looking towards the rear of the building, where the portable will be situated. The storage container in this photo was in violation of the zoning ordinance for storage containers in an RS zone. The storage unit has been removed from the site. The portable classroom will be installed at a 15-foot height. It is 1,344 square feet. Will be painted hardy stucco exterior finish with a vinyl skirting around the base. And I'm not sure if the steps are going to be wood or metal, but are required for a building permit and must meet ADA guidelines for compliance. In accordance with Chart 2 of the City Zoning Ordinance, the approved special use requires a new or amended special use permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals. Chart 2 of the City of Murfreesboro Zoning Ordinance allows churches as special use in the RS 15 district. Special provisions are set forth for institutional group assemblies in Section 9 of the Zoning Ordinance. After reviewing the criteria for special use requirements for institutional group assemblies, this project does meet the criteria. As such, the applicant's proposal is consistent with institutional group assemblies. If the special use permit is approved, staff acclaims the following findings. The portable building has been designed to have minimal impacts on the surrounding neighborhood by locating it inside of the future expansion area of the church itself. The proposed modular building is located behind the existing building to minimize views from the public right-of-way. And the proposed portable building will be a single-story building. The subject property is located along a public street on Rucker Lane, which is in the city's major thoroughfare plan and listed to be provided improved from Old Fort Parkway to Veterans Parkway. The roadway was previously improved along this portion of the property frontage by the Publix project on the east side of Rucker Lane. All of the parking needs for this building are contained on the site itself. The drainage for the site is directed towards the northwest to the existing pond on site. No additional drainage improvements are proposed for this phase of work. Solid waste disposal will be handled by an existing dumpster located on the site. Fire protection, domestic water feeds are located in the main building. Sanitary sewer service is also located in the main building. There will be no restrooms proposed in the portable. The area proposed for the portable is a graded pad and will not remove any special features. Special provisions for group assembly. Primary focus is on parking and lighting to ensure that there are no adverse effects on surrounding properties. Neither of these will be altered due to the addition of the portable. Recommendations of staff conditions of approval is 1, approval of the temporary portable structure shall be valid for 3 years or until August 1st, 2024. Prior to installation or delivery of the property of the portable structure, the applicant shall apply for and obtain approval of a site plan from the Murfreesboro Planning Department. The site plan approval will include staff comments to ensure the portable is consistent with city standards and requirements. Prior to installation or delivery of the portable structure, the applicant shall contact the Building Codes Department to confirm the necessary permits and requirements for installation. The portable building shall be properly installed and anchored on a hard dustless surface. Within 30 days of removal of the portable from the subject property, the applicant shall restore the area of where the portable existed. Prior to installation or delivery to the property, the applicant shall install landscaper type C buffer to be continued along the lot 15 of the Brownview Acres single-family residence subdivision at the south property line. I have what was approved as the site plan, the landscaping plan. The approval from BZA on this property was to eventually this whole area would have to have a type C buffer on it due to the fact that this phase 1 only went up to lot number 15. We allowed them only to install this portion at this time. There is some vegetation on this area, but there's just a few spots where it's spotty. And because the portable is going to be behind here, we are requesting that there be a type C buffer along this lot 15 in the Brownview Acres single-family subdivision. Prior to installation or delivery of the portable structure, the applicant shall contact the planning department staff for review and approval of the aesthetics of the portal in relation to materials and colors. I'm available to answer any questions the board may have on this project, and also Mr. Matt Taylor with SEC is available for questions as well.
Any questions for staff at this point?
Will there be a need to improve the north side of the property, or to do a buffer on the north side of the property as well?
Not currently.
Because if it's going to come out that far, to need to include it on the bottom side of the property, it would appear, isn't there residential up there as well?
That's commercial.
Is that commercial now?
There.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen this
Okay,
property.
And I neglected to put the zoning map up here. It is commercial. on there.
Okay.
Toots over
So
there.
yeah. Well, I haven't lived over there in a few years, so I don't drive by it like I
Yeah,
used to.
drive around.
Maybe you moved too early. We're trying to bring
Hey, I've missed a lot of things from that side of town, so.
But we've been planting a regular planting yard over there, so there's shade trees and things up there. And they're not reflected on this plan for some reason, but there are shade trees existing. We planted those as we expanded the parking on the north side.
Okay.
I had a question. The permit, the application mentions 3 years. And I see, I guess, looking at the existing Phase 1, Phase 2, at what point does the need for the modular building go away? Is that with Phase 2 or Phase 3? If we think we're going to use the whole 3 years, or just kind of for information purposes more than anything?
So Phase 2, whether it's exactly this shape of the building or another, that is when this use would go away. So they're projecting in the next 3 years that they would build the next phase of the building.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Appreciate it. Any other questions for staff at this point, or the applicant? All right, at this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. Is there anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application? If you come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further questions or motion.
I'll move to approve, Chairman. Move to approve, subject to the staff recommendations. The special use permit will not have a substantial or undue adverse effect upon the adjacent property or the character of the neighborhood. Proposed building or use will be constructed, arranged, or operated so as to be compatible with the immediate vicinity and so as not to interfere with the development and use of adjacent property. The proposed building or use will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highways, streets, parking spaces, drainage structures, etc., and that the proposed building or use will not result in the damage, loss, or destruction of any feature determined by the BZA to be significant, natural, scenic, or historic importance, and that the proposed building or use complies with all additional standards imposed on it by the particular provision of this zoning ordinance.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. So that application has been approved as well. Appreciate everybody's help and input. Next item on our agenda is staff reports and other business.
I do not have anything to share today.
All right. With that, we will adjourn.
All right, thank you.